Hello guys, and welcome in this video where I'm going to continue my series on shadow work for spiritually awakening humans. So if you didn't see the first video, I recommend you to watch it. It's an introduction to shadow work, just laying the foundations of what is a shadow, where does it come from, and how do we do shadow work. So in this second video, I want to talk about projections. How does that work in our psyche, and how does that impact our relationship and our life? So let's start. So projections are very common and everyone has it, and it's a way that our psyche deals with our own contradictions. So a projection is basically something that you have in you that is disowned for whatever reason because of what you've been through, and that is projected out onto others or the world. So to give you just a few examples to bring clarity, if I hate when I speak in public, for example, and I hate this part about me, I will also hate when others do it. When someone else does it, I will actually feel bad for them doing it because I feel bad myself for doing it. That's an example of a projection. Another example would be I admire someone that has a specific quality that I think I don't have, when actually it's because this quality is within me but disowned within me. Okay, so that's how projections work. So basically, when you understand projections, you understand that the way you perceive others and the world is mainly based on projections. And actually the world, what you call the world, is actually a massive projection, but that might be a bit too advanced. So let's take it slow. Projections make our life much more difficult because it has this strong judgment with it. When we project, we tend to judge. We judge the other person because we rejected that within us. And we cling also because we want something that others have that we don't have. So in that sense, projections are very difficult. Also, projections come with a sense of being incomplete. When you project, because you disown parts of you, you feel like you're not whole. And that's why when doing this work of re-owning projections, we can start feeling more whole in our life, more complete. And that's a very relieving process, and it was for me as well. So when does a projection gets formed? Well, when you go through a difficult experience, you cannot handle some parts of you. For example, if you are sexually abused, you cannot handle having sexual desire. It feels wrong in a way because you experience sexual desire in a context that is harmful. So you cannot tolerate it. So what you do is you suppress the sexual desire, and then this aspect of yourself will be projected out. So for example, you will be very concerned when others express sexual desire simply because you suppressed it during your childhood. So that's how the mind cope with your trauma, by projecting. So projections are not wrong, okay? So don't freak out because you have projections. Everyone has them. It's normal. It's part of human life. So how do we identify that we have a projection? We usually have a projection when something is bothering us about the external world or people around us. It can be like anger, frustration, like, oh, why is he like this? Or judgment, like, blaming the other. Look at what you're doing to my life, and you're such a bad person. All this stuff is a projection. Now, we must be very clear, and that's why this work is a bit complex. Just because you have anger doesn't mean you're projecting. sometimes some people act badly and it will make you feel angry because it's not okay to act like this. So the anger can be a defense mechanism and not necessarily a projection. Or sometimes your situation is difficult and you can start feeling angry about the situation. It doesn't mean it's a projection. But most of the time, it's when someone does something or someone has something and it frustrates you that this person has this thing or that you don't have this thing, in a case where you're projecting a positive thing on the person. So you know you have a projection also by checking two things. If you will not allow yourself to do this, it's a projection. Or if you also do it and you don't like when you do it, it's a projection. So let me give you an example. Let's say someone is loud, something that I had for me personally. I didn't like loud people. If I look within myself, would I allow myself to be loud? No. So it's a projection. Okay, so I don't like it in others because I cannot allow myself to do it. I suppressed this quality within myself. Sometimes it's more like you also do it. Sometimes it's about you also loud, but when you are loud, you hide that about you. And so you close your eyes. You pretend that, no, I'm not loud, but you are. But you project it onto others. So that's how you know you have a projection. Now, I also want to mention that there are some projections that are not disowned parts of us, but are simply our own inner world projected outward. So, for example, sometimes when we go through a lot of injustice in our life, we tend to project our lived experience onto the world and believe that the whole world is unfair. Okay, so in that case, it's not something that is disowned. It's just like your own emotional state, your own psychology that you project as being like this everywhere. So, for example, if you've been abused by a man, you can start to believe that all men are dangerous. And when you catch yourself being in this over generalization of the world, like the world is like that, know that it's usually coming from you, and the world is not like what you say. The world is not unfair. It's both unfair and fair. There is some injustice in the world, and there is some justice. You cannot put the world in a box. It's impossible. It's far too complex and far too wide. So that's also projection work, to learn to stop projecting what you live as being the reality of the whole world. That's also very important. So how do we heal a projection now that we know that we are projecting? Well, the goal is to re-own it because it's coming from us, right? So the first step is acknowledging. You acknowledge that you are doing it, that it's coming from you. You acknowledge that the person that you hate is actually a perfect representation of what you don't want to become. So you take it back. It's not about that person. It's about your own perceptions. It's in you. And once you take it back to you, you're starting to heal the projection. And then there's the integration of this, which is to first learn to regulate ourselves, that we are okay with this part of us. We can actually face it consciously in the body and breathe with it and meet it consciously within ourselves. And from that place, we can start to deconstruct the whole perception of this part of us. We can start to see that maybe it was not that bad. Maybe bad that we are very judgmental towards ourselves and we can release this judgment. Maybe that we can start to accept and embrace this part of us that maybe didn't receive love when this part was trying to be itself, right? And by doing that, we can merge this part with ourselves, and that's how you grow in the projection. And when you do that, guess what? You're not going to project anymore. So you're not going to hate people anymore. You're not going to be frustrated at people anymore, which means that you're going to live a life being completely equanimous to whatever is happening around you, not reacting. And no one will ever bother you again. You will therefore have inner peace. But this work is long, it takes time, and it's not easy. And there are a lot of blind spots. But I'm here to help you. So if that made sense to you, you can always reach out to me and we can talk and I can show you how to do that too. If you click on work with me, you can see my work and send me a message. Even if you're not sure about starting a mentorship, you can still ask me questions on WhatsApp and we can chat. And you can also join the community where we do this type of work.